Okay, so that was great. My phone just said that it overheated. It's raining and like I don't understand, but we're back. Hey! I'm just waiting for Miloni to get back in. That is so great. This is like so divine of what Mars retrograde does. Go. I mean, it's perfect. So funny.
So happy. Not just Mars, but Mercury.
Mars
Thank
retrograde.
you. Thanks for making the presents.
Okay. It said my phone. It said my phone overheated.
That is Mars in every capacity.
He's like,
look, I'm going to need y'all to do this properly and speak. Okay, look. Do we want to go over before we talk about his journey and like piss him off a little more? Maybe we should go over all the amazing things that he did. We can placate him a little bit.
Yeah. I don't think he's like, fuck that. He's like, yeah. Okay, Shadow.
Yeah, we'll get there.
We'll get there. You know how you guys can figure it out? Join our, either join my mini mind and or our intro to astrology course, link in the bio.
I love that.
We'll keep going from here.
All right. Well, let's talk about how amazing Mars is, and we'll boost him up, the warrior up a little bit. Okay, so I have a little bit of my own personal list of like things that happened during this Mercury retrograde. We'll see. Please put in the comments.
Mars retrograde.
Sorry, Mars retrograde. Please put in the comments if you experienced anything during this time. And just to give the time, it was October 30th to today. So just think about those time periods. But correct.
And it goes direct on
So for me, my big three things this was the most non-Mercurius retrogrades in life. I have had more Mercury. Nope, because he is in Gemini. Yep.
Okay. I know.
Mars was effing technology up. I don't know about anybody else, but things in technology were not working. And typically that's a Mercury retrograde thing. I don't experience that as much in my own Mercury retrograde experiences, but with Mars, technology was all over the fucking place. I'm like, why aren't these simplistic things happening? Yeah.
I mean, so let's dive into that. As we mentioned in the one that got cut off, Mars is retrograding in Gemini. Gemini is the ruler of Mercury. Mercury is the ruler of communication, how we perceive information, how we take in information, and our and sibling life, and so also how we are seeing the world. And with that, it does require a lot of technology, especially in our current day and age. We are very much technology focused. And I think it also has to do with this, the messages coming in, like, what are we going to do if it's not here? Like, if we don't have the technology that we've gotten so accustomed to for as long as we have, then what? And who knows, this could be a little bit of a preview.
And also the second message that I just got was, how do you handle yourself when things like this happen, right? So here we just had a great example of what we're talking about. You know, Monie's phone overheats, boom, this goes down. What did you do? Did you laugh? Did you get frustrated? Did you I
was like, what? I grabbed my iPad and I'm like, they apparently can't go live on Instagram,
it has to be
iPad.
on mobile, whatever and whatnot,
So tried. See, and this is like what is what Gemini energy gives you, the options. This is options, backups, have backup plans. And even if they're just like somewhere in your head, something that you could be like, oh, okay, I never thought of that. Or I've actually, because here's what's interesting about the shadow energy, and hopefully he'll let me communicate this. He now has to, he traveled all the way to 25 degrees quick, like within 3 weeks. 3 weeks. He was like, and then he almost did it. And he's like, I'm right there, I'm right there, I'm right there. And it's like, oh. And then here we go, all the way back. And in that all the way back energy, he goes all the way back to 8 degrees. So the shadow is when he hit 8 degrees, that is when it started his shadow
September 3rd.
period. And yes, September 3rd. And so with that, now he's about to go direct at 8 degrees of Gemini and retrace his steps going all the way back to 25. He does not exit the shadow of his retrograde until he hits beyond the 25 degrees.
Which will be
25
March
degrees of Gemini.
13th. Yeah.
So again, you guys, the solstice is the real.
It's the real New Year. Because he doesn't even get out of Gemini until March 25th. That's when he enters Cancer. So
yeah. And then he goes into another place that he doesn't want to fucking be.
Please tell me, because that's where my Mars is in my natal chart. Please, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, like he's already, first of all, he hates to be retrograde. He does not want to be going backwards. He's like, you have to also remember, or we have to remember, he rules Aries, the first sign of the zodiac, the initiator, the one that begins, the one that had the cardinal fire, this like just drive,
the warrior archetype,
excitement, motivation, the warrior. We're just moving forward, pushing through.
Yeah.
Slow down for what?
For who?
Number one, and look back. Look back. Why? Why am I? What am I looking back for? Like, no. And so, but he's being forced to, and he's in that. We have this like mental churning that he's been doing because the Mercurian energy, the mental energy, the Gemini energy, the duality of it all, right and left hemispheres of the brain. I just picture him sitting in the center between our two hemispheres, so our pineal gland, and literally just like
it's the hamster wheel right in the middle of the two. Literally.
Yeah, and as he's doing that, like you can just see, feel this like, okay, like spearing off, like that's not needed, that's not needed, that's not needed, let's reorganize. You could have felt yourself being very getting your mental organization energy together, decluttering the mind, or noticing how cluttered the mind is, and then whatever you decide to do with that, you decide to do with that.
So the other thing is injuries. Anybody else throw in the chat if you got an injury during Mars's retrograde up to this point.
I did in the shadow. My right ankle like
occurred in December. So right over the change of the calendar year. So that was, again, Mars rules our body because there's a lot of action that we have to take with our body. So when Mars is in a challenging aspect to another planet or point, or when Mars is retrograde, one of the things that most astrologers here talk about is watch your body, watch accidents, because typically you're in this, I gotta go. Maybe not when Mars is retrograde, but in general Mars aspects, it's I gotta go. I gotta get this shit done. And we've got a broken toe. Oh no. Yep. Like that's what happens. And it's not that it's going to happen all the time. It's not that. It's just watch what you're doing, because you're going so fast, you're forgetting to look down. You're forgetting to look around. You're forgetting to look above. You're not taking time. It's only what's lit. Like this is, look, you can't even see what's in my background anymore. You don't see.
Yeah.
You've got, that's the only viewpoint.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of other things that can come in and harm body parts that you don't need, or you don't want to be involved in. So
yeah. And I think even just like, I mean, just this past week for me, getting sick, losing my voice, like another Mercurian energy conversation, you know, being forced to sit with myself, with my thoughts, and allowing for the recalibration of my mind to the point where like the integration is still occurring, all while getting new information downloaded into me with like a yoga teacher training this weekend, as well as just everything else that was going on, and really allowing me to be the witness of my mental process. And it's such a beautiful thing, because we also have to remember, guys, especially right now, Mercury is also still retrograde. So we have both of these energies like really like forcing you to sit with your thoughts, even if they're uncomfortable, even if you don't want to. And, you know, I think Mars is finally, you know, now that he's gonna exit his shadow, like I think he's finally like just settled into the fact like there's no resistance here, and I'm just like, fuck it, fine. And I think that energy needs to be more like, just what are you resisting? And when you notice that you are resisting, how do you allow yourself to stop resisting? And then like, because usually you're actually resisting in the mind. The mind is usually the thing that is causing the resistance, because you're trying to almost make sense of the experiences instead of just allowing for the realizations that you're having from the experiences to provide the insight.
Wow. I'm going to need to go. I need to go back and re-listen to that. Like, that's going to be a rewind.
I'm telling you, this past week, like I said, like I had said in my stories, there's a reason why I've been quiet.
It's not
like
ready yet.
It's not ready yet. Like, there's so much that has shifted, changed, and evolved in here that I'm just like, ooh.
One other thing is, and this is why I love my therapist, you guys. He's so amazing. So we were just talking today about the warrior archetype, and the warrior archetype, the opposite of the warrior is the lover. So when the warrior's not activated, the lover ends up coming more to the forefront, because that's how you balance out too much lover, is through your warrior. How you balance out too much warrior is through your lover. And so it's this access point here. And and
then there's the goddess and...
Well, I'm not going to the magician because it's really the warrior. So where I was going was, as Mars has been retrograde and has had to take this step back, and not just that he's been retrograde, but we really have to acknowledge the fact that Mars has been at 1 degree point, which is the 8-degree point, and will stay there until the 24th of this month. He is not leaving a degree point. That's crazy. Like, that is massive.
And the symbolization of the number 8, the infinity, the continuous loop, the mental continuous loop. You are going to be shown what mental loop you're running, what program you're running that honestly is likely no longer serving you. So when you allow yourself to look into where and how your mind is processing and what you're latching onto, that is where you're actually creating the resistance, and that is where you need to let go. Like, and I know I mean, I just did this like
much easier said and talked about.
like
much easier.
Yes, than done.
Yeah.
And for like understood.
You know, thinking through, if you have been very heavy in the lover in that non-action space, take this time as you get into, like, we've got until March until Mars is out of the shadow. So really take this time. How are you going to activate your warrior back? How is that activation going to happen?
Especially because he's then going to go into Cancer, which is a natural loving type of energy. And that will be interesting. Like, we can only
and it's March. March is a whole month in its own.
Like, yeah, exactly. And we can only kind of like look forward and like speculate, but you know, we don't know until we get in there. And so, but when we layer on what the energies actually are, it's interesting. So if we can calibrate now, and while he's moving through his shadow energy, by assimilating the warrior back again, because he's surrendered into the receptivity. And now, I mean, what's interesting, it's literally like Compound Effect, the book, like where it's like, okay, he literally came to a stop and now he has to try to get the train moving again and like actually get the wheels turning back again and pick up the momentum and so how long can you is there so long you can realize it's there so long? Yeah, I mean, at that degree point, and you're in the mini mind too, so like when you look at that 8-degree point of Gemini, you want to check and see like what's going on in your chart there. Even if there's nothing going on there, it's in a house. That house is going to tell you something. And if Bridget is dealing with like this Mars retrograde is like right on her ascendant, and it's just been like amazing. What's the ascendant? Yes, you will see. I mean, if you're ready to see the loop, you will see the loop. And what's interesting is like, even as he starts to move through, you'll see, like, for me, there's been a cycle that has just been, that I officially closed. And with that, I was able to see that what part of the cycle I was in. And it's the awareness is different from the action that you take. So you could have the awareness.
What do you
and yet you not being ready, will it even matter that you have the awareness? Because
and I think we should rephrase that, because if it is in your awareness, that means your being is ready to receive it. That is very different than you being willing to take action on what is needed. That's the difference.
Yes. Yeah, because if it's there, it's there. Correct. Because
you're ready.
There.
You may not want to acknowledge that, but you're ready. You've got it.
Yeah. And I had put this in my stories, like, even if it's just like a few small steps forward, that doesn't mean that is better, that is new than staying where you're at or continuing going back into something 100% that you've already done.
So heat in words was another really big thing that came up for me. And I can't describe it any other way than that, because it wasn't like there was anger or like viciousness or anything like that. It was just, there was such a heat behind the things people were saying, even myself, or a passion behind things that normally wouldn't have been there. I noticed that coming up a lot. Or the immediate, I know for me, my immediate, and this is probably just because it was literally on my ascendant for days, was more so like, you motherfucking said that to me? Okay. I literally have a post-it note that my husband just told me. Say less than necessary. Say less than necessary. What deserves
I
my
like
attention?
that. I mean, right. And I'm reflecting back to, I feel like, well, Mars was in its shadow. It might have like just hit the retrograde when I received a very, very interesting email, and with a lot of passion behind it, but also not full thought. And you know what that taught me like so much about myself. And it's not a space, like, this isn't a space to like go into all of that, but like, you know, the realizations that we have from the experiences are giving us this space of where, like, who actually are you? Like, who are you in a space of when you are tested, when other people's, because everyone thinks that they're right based on where they're at. And so being able to move through the emotions, and Mars and Gemini, like, there's it's not emotional, but Mars retrograde in Gemini, it's a reworking of what
your emotional responses to very factual things. Yeah.
Yes. And it's how do you actually stay on facts? And stay on track with facts instead of going off and having your words be so, not to say emotions are wrong, because nothing's right or wrong, but like grounded.
Yes. And there is, I mean, communication, especially written communication and verbal communication, we put a lot of emotion within that, when sometimes those emotions, especially when you're dealing with like business and stuff like that, that's not where that emotion is needed, right? There's the power in the pause.
And there's so much, there's so much power in the pause. And I think that's like how I handled that email. I paused. Oh, I wanted to like do all the things. I wanted to respond back emotionally. I wanted to, but then as soon as I would have done that,
you gave validity to what they were doing.
Yeah. And I would have literally, like, not allowed for, what's up, not allowed for me to realize what it actually was teaching me, and that was to allow me to find and rediscover my own personal power. So, I mean, there is so much power in the pause, and I think that was like what Mars and Gemini was trying to show us. Pause before you like say something that is unnecessary, before you say something that's not needed, before you say something that you're going to regret, or like it's going to take you down a timeline.
You're going to have to clean up. Why do you want to clean up?
Not the best.
Yeah,
not
why do you
the
want
best
to clean up
use
shit?
Of your time.
You didn't have to clean up shit. You forced yourself to clean up this shit. Now you're here. Deal with it. And that's just unnecessary. And again, also, if it happens, it's necessary, because that should be your key to observe, be the observer, and to look and go, oh, I could have handled that better. Because again, that's really that is the biggest gift of astrology, is like, hey, these can be where these things show up. It can give you insight. And then as you're going through the process, you can go, yeah, I could have handled that better. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I'm okay with taking accountability.
The retrogrades allow us to do that, because we get to reflect even more. They give us the gift of time. They give us all this time to have Mars and Gemini doing these reworkings of our inner mind. And retrogrades are not something to fear. They're not something to like be scared of.
That's a very pop culture thing. Like, just to, and again, don't get me wrong. When like just now I was like, oh, yep, Mercury's in retrograde. I totally get it. It for me, it's not the excuse. It's just, it makes sense. I know to expect certain things. It's the observation of your own patterns. what patterns show up for you over and over and over again. And those patterns are going to be different for other people. You know?
Right. Right. And when you have the experience, notice, are you using retrogrades as your cop out? Are you using them as your excuse as to, well, I couldn't do that because it is in retrograde? Like, the fuck? Like, that doesn't, I mean, with a grain of salt. Like, it's okay, we know this planet, these planets are in retrograde. Again, it makes more sense. It makes more sense for me based on where the houses are and where this is showing up for me and how I'm showing up in it and da 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 da. Like, it allows for you actually, when you use it as an excuse, you actually outsource your power. When you are allowing it to, when you work with energy, you are then further pulling your power back into you and finding better navigational tools. And I think it's important to just know as well, as I mentioned in the 2023 astrology mini mind, Mars is direct all of 2023. He is direct the entire time, but what's interesting is he's actually going to be traveling on the opposite side of your chart than he has been for this for the last year. Correct. And when he's going to be making major aspects and oppositions with every planet that he comes in contact with, every single one of those planets are going to be retrograde, which is beautiful. And then he gets like kind of like a taste of his own medicine, of like a reminder. And especially because all the other planets, if he's moving into like new territory, he's actually going to be hitting planets in places where he's been, literally, figuratively, and they are like in a space of like further revision, further recalibration, and he's like oh, and he's gonna have more awareness, he's gonna have more ahas. Like, so your moves, your motives, your passion, your that warrior energy, and how you choose to move forward when you are in a space of need, of also being requested to slow down a little bit. Like, what are you going to do
like
with that?
How are you going to, as he's making those aspects, like, it's going to require new things of you, which maybe you weren't ready for during his retrograde, but you might know. And so it's like, I need to be prepared that I may need to make these moves later on, right? I may have action required of me, just not right now.
Right. And this energy is also could also have you actually doing something that you wouldn't normally have done back in 2022. Like, you might actually like, oh, that's no longer who I am. Thank you for showing me that. Or thank you. Yeah, I'm moving different. And that's growth. It could be uncomfortable because growth is uncomfortable, but you know, allow yourself to move differently in 2023. And I think that's why he's taking his time before he fucking goes, because he's actually going to go all the way to his higher rulership of Sagittarius through 2023. So he's going to literally cover almost a solid 180 degrees.
Where does he go? I go up till October, and Mars is in Scorpio in October. So that's where my ephemeris goes to. So, I mean, he will, by the end of the year,
get in the 2023
You've got all the things. So real quick, from a collective standpoint, because again, these energies we feel collectively, we feel them individually. Let's just take a look at the landscape of the world since Mars has been retrograde or went into Gemini, one or the other. Queen Elizabeth died. Queen Elizabeth, a hierarchy, right? No longer with us. Rest in peace to the ancestors. China, zero COVID movement. If that's not a Mars retrograde thing, I don't know what it is.
Yesterday, Brazil stampeding.
Yep, I didn't even write that down because that was yesterday and I did this before. Iranian protests. That started, in fact, 10/29. So remember.
When did we enter this lovely pseudo situation?
That was before Mars even entered Gemini, but the protests themselves, which is a very mercurial Mars sort of energy. He stationed retrograde on 10/30. The London protests were on 10/29. And then they continued. Kanye, yay, his whole adventure. Balenciaga, all of that whole thing. And then the number one best example of Mars in his journey through Mercury's sign of Gemini is Elon Musk buys Twitter. And every literal thing that has happened, Elon Musk signed that deal, I think, within hours of Mars and Gemini. And I don't remember if it was like a very, very close time frame. And so when you look at transit charts, which is a whole different side of astrology, but when you look at charts like that, that's a significant moment where you could pull a chart just for that. And that is now the energy signature of Twitter going forward, right? Mm-hmm. That's the birth of this new venture going forward and what it's going to have with it. So, I mean, this whole Twitter journey has just been like a great example if you wanted to put very practical things that happen and put it against what the astrology is. It's a wonderful overview.
And let's also talk about like I don't care. Like, let's also talk about, I'm over here trying to be PC and like you know, fact checkers getting fact checked. The realization of how much we've been lied to, the awareness of how much we've been lied to, the like blatant, like I mean, it's just comedy at this point. Like, you know, we have this like, and I think with Mars even being retrograde too, it's just also we have to remember Neptune was also retrograde at this time. And Neptune's the veil, and it's like when Neptune's retrograde, the veil's thinner. We can see more clearly. So it's very divine timing. It's beautifully aligned divine timing for all of these things to coincide at this same time for us to be able to just be like, huh.
Yeah.
Like new data points. New data points. What are we going to do with these new little data points? And what are they going to do when we realize that the old data points that were being given to us might not have been accurate? And then what are we going to do with that? And I think what's interesting too is like, as you know, I feel like maybe it's just, and it's a lot of America. Like I feel like we think we're doing so much because we post things on Instagram. We post like these memes, like, oh my God, we're bringing awareness, and like, yes, I used to be one of those people all the time, letting everyone know what the fuck was going on or what could be going on or whatever. But you know, I think what's interesting, like the narrative that was running is getting shattered, and I think it's also allowed for us to, like, it's going to be interesting to see when he does go direct and he moves off that 8-degree point, how he's gonna, like, what moves he's gonna make, like what actual new information is gonna be like, no, y'all, like literally homie just fucking knocked, like lots of people are just collapsing, and you are gonna tell me that it's climate control, it's tea, there apparently tea, cold shower, like these things, like breathing air apparently is soon going to be like just a cause.
Look,
of
Jordan Peterson had my favorite quote, which was, there's nothing climate change can't do. So There's nothing climate change can't do right now.
Yeah, and if you go down other rabbit holes, like climate change is not real. But hey,
who are we?
Who am I?
So I love that you brought up the 8 degree point, because it was so prominent that I did a whole bunch of like research on the number 8. And I even have the Sabian symbol for 8, because 8 degrees of Gemini, because again, there is just something when you see,
like, I'm sorry, wait, I'm just getting the message. They really think we're stupid. Like, they really think we're stupid. Like, and we're so much better than that. And I think noticing like the uprisings that are happening again, because we have to think back to I'm sorry, I'm not sorry, but thank you.
Go for it.
I already know you'll be able to like pin it because I can't. We have to think back to pre-2020, pre this shit. What was going on? Everyone around the world except for fucking the United States of America was having peaceful, solidified protests. The Yellow Jacket movement, like these massive uprisings of people asserting their power, and the collective movement. And what's one way to make sure that those have to go in? Like those have to be shut down. Like the fear of death. You guys, we're all gonna fucking die. And hopefully if you do this life right, you're going to fucking die over and over and over and over again. Because I can tell you, I am not the same person that I was at the end of 2022 with the transition that I had in these last 8 days. So
okay, 8 degrees. We're back. I know.
My head is like.
Okay, so an 8 degree point. So first off, you can, when you see things over and over and over again, those are signs. Those are awakening points. Pay attention. Try to dig in. Hello. So not only is Mars at 8 degrees, which he's currently at right now, has been at for the last couple of days, will be at until, what did I say? 124. Mercury is also stationing direct at the exact same degree point in Capricorn. 8, 8.
Yep.
8,
yep.
8. You can't make this stuff up. So when you see that, like
unless they're lying to us and they're making it.
I immediately am like, tell me more about that. I have questions. What can we dig into? So first off, the numerology of 8 is all around building and destruction. It's both sides of those accesses, right? It's organization, realization, abundance, the cycle, right? It is an infinity loop. It's the cycle of things. And more importantly, 8 is the number and the energy signature of how we preserve energy to bring us around that loop. To have that continual loop is how do we, and what does that look like for us, whether that's balance or being realistic versus ambitious, you know, whatever that is, how do you manage your own energy in your own loop as you continue to go through this cycle of death and rebirth, the cycle of building and destruction, your tower moments, and then your fool jumping off of the cliff. Do you have anything about the number 8 from like an other numerological or life path or anything like that? Okay. So the other piece is then I went and I was like, all right, well, let me look at where 8 comes up in other areas, because that can also tie together different things. And again, these are just like talking points. If anything triggers or you get like, oh my God, put those in the comments, because that can be like a really great like affirmation. So first off, it has been, the number 8 is found all across so many different cultures. In Wicca, there's 8 Sabbats of the year. In Hindu, Lakshmi, which is the goddess of wealth and prosperity, has 8 forms. There's the Eightfold Path of Buddhism. There's Hanukkah lasts for 8 days. in Islam, eight angels carry the throne of Allah in heaven. There are also 8 gates of heaven. It's a lucky number in Chinese and Japan and other Asian cultures. In Yoruba, Obatala, the Orisha of wisdom of the white cloth, that is his sacred number. In the tarot, it is the strength card, which is typically symbolized, which I could try to pull one, but it's typically symbolized, right, by it, the lion. Yep. And the woman with the lion. Yeah. So kind of that lion taming. Yeah. It's the atomic number of oxygen. What can you not do without oxygen in this life? Well, apparently there's nothing climate change can do right now. So who knows but oxygen, the literal building block of life, right? Yeah. When you look at octopuses and arachnids, right? 8 is such a divine number throughout so many different cultures and even nature. Like, these are the things that, like, where my mind takes me when I see something like that is, okay, where are these other things can be found at, and how does that apply to what I'm directly dealing with right now? Yeah. Yeah. And I just looked up the numerology of 8, resonates with authority, self-confidence, inner strength, inner wisdom, social status, ego, and at the same time has a love for humanity and a desire for peace. Extremely professional, successful in business, 8 life paths. If you are into that for numerology, it means that you'll have a lifelong mission to achieve great success. Also, if you're a life path 8, you've got your eyes set on a life of success, leadership. You're willing to go to great lengths and accomplish what you set out to do. Mm-hmm. Capricornian energy, right? This is the entrepreneur. This is the CEO. This is the business owner. This is the lawyer. But we also have to think about, like, the shadow energies of these things, of, like, you know, where could you be putting success before your own, like, inner journey, like in your own, like, making sure that you're still staying in alignment, because we have to remember, like, the thread through, also another beautiful thing to think about when you're thinking about the number 8, and this is what I do with, like, grounding or clearing, is to actually, when you're, like, centering yourself, bringing the energy as the number 8 through your heart space. So down to the front, in, out, around, back, behind, underneath your feet, up through the front, into your heart. So making this loop, and as you bring it through your heart, you find the heart in it. You find, like, okay, like, I can actually, like, ease into this. I can settle. I can, and you allow the heart to clear through, and allow for the heart to give you that sense, because, like, it also, the heart pumps the blood through the veins. It recirculates. It allows for this recirculation and giving you this clearing through love, the highest vibration. And when we lose that vibration, then, you know, the ego steps into a higher octave. Instead of it being here, it goes like, it goes way out and then way up, and then all of a sudden, like, you get blinded by success. So we love success. Not saying that it's not, like, go for it, but also work through your heart. So I did find the strength card. So this is the strength card in the tarot. This is not a Rider Waite deck, just so that way everybody's aware. So you will see, depending on the deck, this will change, but this is a pretty great depiction. So, right. So it is, for all the purposes, there is courage is, like, the biggest piece of this card, right? There takes courage to tame your lion. It takes courage to tame your, and the lion can be a symbol for multiple things. What you're trying to accomplish, what you're trying to let go of, what you're trying to fill in the blank, right? It takes courage to grab that lion by the throat and pet its nose and tell it, you know, love it. It takes courage to do what you just said. It takes courage to be in a high octave of love. That is a very courageous thing. That's a very, very courageous thing.
And to hold the inner strength and the inner knowing that you have the capability
Right.
to tame and hold your own lion, that you have this ability to like, no, like you're gonna fucking sit here and you're gonna like get comfortable being uncomfortable. Like I know you don't want to do this, and I know you want to like, dude, think about a lion. Like, I mean, but at the same time, the 2 octaves of what lions like can be, like it is that like straight up warrior fucking fight for the pride and like kill everything in sight, but also it's, dude, like just cats in general, this like ease, this grace, this constant energy of like zen that they exist and exude in, of just like this constant sphinx of like this knowingness. And like they don't need you to love them to know how great they are. They allow you to love them
because they are that great.
They allow you
it's
to do right. I mean, I just think of like Reba. Like, I mean, I just had to clip her nails and it's like, rah, rah, like the whole thing is like a fucking drama queen. And I'm like, yo, just, you're good. Like, 14 years we've been doing this. Like, you can handle it. And it's allowing that, yeah, just like find the seat next to the lion.
Yeah.
And find comfort there. Like, our mind plays tricks on us to think like, but also clearly, you know, don't ignore the power that it has.
It's a respect. Like there's respect
also
here,
know that
right?
Yeah.
She is not like, bitch, I got you and I can do whatever I want with you. There's love in this card. She is, look at her.
There's
love.
And he's also like, I'm a fucking bitch. He's like, bitch, I'll bitch.
It's like, yeah, I get your power. I can respect your power. I can respect the power of what it takes to change, but you have to respect the fact that I'm willing to do so. I'm willing to take those steps.
Yeah, totally.
You know, and so it's, again, I just heard that ancient Cherokee, and if it does come from somewhere else, please correct me, but I've always heard it come from the Cherokee, the tale of which wolf do you feed, right? Everybody has 2 wolves inside. Which one you feed is the one that gets life and will be present.
Yeah.
It is that kind of energy, right? It is the 8. It's 2 halves of the same circle, or the same coin. It's the light, the dark. It's balance. It's divine balance in all things.
Which is actually
the
that
duality.
Gemini energy, which is the duality of like the awareness of what is and what is not, of it all, and of your different paths that you can choose. And Mars sitting here like, yeah, like, and I think he's gone through such a beautiful journey, which has allowed for him to come out of this. And there's going to, I feel an entire new path that we're going to be on collectively, individually if you choose, but collectively for sure. I mean, it's this awareness of like the mental, how much we've been mind fucked, and he's going to move forward and he's going to be like, that's right, and I'm excited for this. Like, and that's what we like, why we love astrology so much. It's like there's no fear. There's no like fear of the retrogrades or any of that. It's
what's to come, right? It's like,
here we go.
It's like you go to a movie theater knowing you're going to go watch a movie, right? Like it's that same energy. Like, I know I'm going to go to the movie theater. I'm going to get popcorn. I'm going to get this. And which, by the way, this is going to be so crazy because in like 20, maybe not even that long, let's just call it 10 years, somebody's going to find this video of us and go, what the fuck is a movie theater? Like, really? That, I mean, that part,
That,
this is what Mars, in my opinion, at least in my personal life, has been really working with during this retrograde and then moving forward, along with all of the other planets. But it's, our society is changing. And it's not in subtle ways like a society normally changes. It is very integral. It is very noticeable, and it is going to happen at a much more rapid pace. Now, these ideas and these structures could have been thinking of this for many, many years. It's different. It is just different energy, and how are we all going to handle that? Yeah.
Because we're different. Like what we've experienced, what we've realized, what we've been through, and what they've put us through, and who we are because of all of that, we are forever changed. And I really hope every single one of you watching this now, watching the replay, like, you realize the power that you have in using your voice. Because also with me losing my voice for those few days, and like, you can go back to the past life, I feel like the struggle. And like, you actually get this space of like, damn, like, what if I didn't have that? Well, guess what? You don't have it if you aren't using it either. And you actually have the ability to use it. And then even if you use it, you're like, fuck, I'm actually, no, that's no longer my truth. Great. You've grown, you've evolved, you changed. Own it. Amazing. Changed my mind so many fucking times. I've had so many awarenesses of like, oh, that's actually
totally fine.
What I believe. Great. Cool. And I can speak to that. And like, but like, we have so much power within us, and we are the many. They are the few.
This is a great time to read the Sabian symbol for Gemini.
Yes.
So, Sabian symbol, thank you, jamesburgess.com. Shout out. That is where I get these until my book comes in from Amazon. Just saying, Amazon, I'm waiting. So is the collective. So Sabian symbol, it is for Gemini 8 to 9 degrees, is a quiver filled with arrows. Mastery over self. Challenges are not simply awkward obstacles. They are tests for us to learn how to focus the mind. Focusing the mind through mastery of self. Just please wait. Earlier, it was found that the need to fight for survival triggered aggressiveness as a normal potential attitude in humanity. Now we look at what happens when that attitude goes beyond defense and into attack mode, conquest. Whether an individual chooses to attempt to conquer nature, weaker individuals, or their own baser instincts and urges is a prime indicator of their spiritual station. Wow.
I had no idea she was about to read that, guys. Sabian symbols are her thing. Aligned in so many ways.
So yeah, there we go. We'll put all of the We'll put all of the dates of Gemini in the description box, so I will.
Yeah, send me those. And this will be up shortly, and it will be on YouTube as well. Link in the bio to join us in the 2023 Astrology Mini Minds. So going, we got 3 more sessions, I believe. And if you are like, that's way too much for me, I don't even know what you guys are talking about right here, right now, join us in our Intro to Astrology course. Quick, it's like an hour and a half long. It'll take you through the wheel, give you great launching pad to jump off of, and but that is included
if you want just like the full aspect of both, because your mini mind's lasting until the end of January, right?
My mini government voting again and again. For the last 5 days.
Thank you for bringing that up. I didn't even.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that.
That was great. That picture of her reading what was it, the Bucks book? Oh my god, I rolled over. It was so perfect.
Yeah, and it's super accurate. And also the like qualifications that we have implemented for him to proceed.
Yeah.
Us standing back in our power, like, and using our voice, and like, well, yo, we're gonna be watching you. You're not gonna be, and little Zelensky over here. Congratulations, Speaker of the House. Thanks. Make sure that you keep funding us. No, motherfucker, you're cut the fuck off.
Love you. The dogs
I love you
going.
guys.
We've got people
you.
outside, so it's time. That was where it needed to end. Bye, everyone.
It's time.